Indeed. Have you ever run for any political office before?
Well, when I was elected as the trustee of the state college, then that was a...
You had to run.
I had to run, and so...
So you're familiar with campaigning?
Somewhat, and I've become more politically acquainted because of my work as the chairman of a board of trustees at a college, where I had to pay attention to what was happening at the state level and doing lobbying and so on in Washington as well. And I would make 2, 3, 4 visits to Washington in a year in terms of doing that type of lobbying, and became acquainted with how things really work.
Such an enlightening time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You will be running on which side?
I'm a Republican.
Republican.
Mm-hmm. But I want to state that I'm a conservative Republican, and I think that there is a...
So are you happy with the Tea Party movement, the conservatives?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I'm a part of the 912 group.
Okay.
In DeKalb County, and I've attended meetings in Steuben County as well as in Noble County. But realizing that I'm having to give my attention and energies primarily to this campaign for this office, and I've not been able to give what I would like to in terms of...
We all have to pick our battles.
Yeah. So that's my interest, my heart is there.
So you will be running in the primary. Do you know the incumbent? There's an incumbent.
Right.
And they are running again?
Yes.
And do you know any other people that are running at this point?
No.
Okay, so right now there's two.
Right now there's 2 of us.
Is he'd be a Republican. Is he conservative?
I frankly do not know.
Okay.
I've attempted to find where he has written what he believes or where his commitments are. I have not been able to find any document or anything that would state whether he's conservative.
You're not sure what he is.
I'm really not sure where he's at on the spectrum of issues and commitments in terms of the...
Which can be scary because then you just don't know if a vote comes up where they stand, and sometimes it's nice to know, at least good or bad, it's nice to know where your guy stands so then you know to vote for him or not. But if you don't know, you can't make an informed decision. So you're running in Steuben, and what other county was it? Steuben and...
DeKalb.
DeKalb.
Most of DeKalb.
Okay, because they cut the boundaries. So, and the primary is in May. So what, are you going to meetings? Are you doing different things that people could find you?
Right now, I'm attempting to make initial contact with all the precinct committee leaders. Okay. And because knowing that the primary, for me anyway, is going to be the critical point. So I need to spend these next few months, really, convincing Republicans to vote for me.
Right.
Okay, that's the critical part. And then after, and hopefully, as if I win in May in the primary, then we have to shift gears.
Because then you would run if the Democrat run, because you'd go to the general election and see. So right now you're, have you had speaking engagement, or is that something you're going to be doing as you go forward?
We're developing that. We've already put in place the website and the email and...
Why don't we tell them if somebody, what's the email, what's the website?
Okay, the website is powers with the number 4, Indiana.com.
Okay, I think we had it. There it is, guys.
Okay.
info@powersforindiana.com.
Yeah, that's the email address.
Okay, and www.powersforindiana.com
is the website.
And that is up and running.
I hope so.
Me too. Well, the good news is we're called Stupid Politics.
Yes. Because things are in process, and but yeah.
Okay, but it should be up and running.
Yes.
And we're going to have the show on YouTube, and then you can throw it over on your site to at least have something
to
show for that. So www.powersforindiana.com if you want to learn a little bit more about him. So, how do you feel about your shots, or have you not felt good or bad yet? I mean...
No, I'm feeling positive about it because I think I have the skills, qualifications, the experience,
the values, it sounds like, with what's going on nationally.
Yeah. And so I'm positive about that, and the best I can do is to put out there on the table who I am, what I believe, and what my commitments are, and then let the people decide.
Okay, well, I heard what you said. I'm going to be a little stricter then. We heard what you, state sovereignty, you're for. How do you feel about the Second Amendment as far as the states are concerned?
Yeah. I've been a life member of the National Rifle Association.
Okay.
Well, ever since the late 1960s. And while I was attending graduate school in Chicago, I worked as a cop. And
so you've seen both sides of that.
And yeah, well, coming from small town Indiana, and I grew up in Waterloo, Indiana, and graduated from high school there, and graduated also from Huntington University. So I was in small towns until I hit Chicago.
Whole different world.
And so I hit the streets of Chicago with a badge and a weapon on my side, and so I had, needless to say, I had to grow up real quick-like, because that was a period of time in our history, in our nation's history, that was in intense turmoil. I mean, that follows the shooting of John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy and Martin Luther King, and
I unfortunately wasn't born yet, but I've read.
Yeah. Well, let's say that in Chicago, police were not appreciated at all, and in some neighborhoods we were walking targets. So.
But even through that experience, you're still.
But one of the things, and I recently wrote about this, because I was a student at the same time, and on campus and so on, and of all the anti-war efforts going on about the war in Vietnam. And the police leaders, the lieutenant, knew, of course, about my student status, and immediately then pulled me off the street, if you please, and put me under cover to essentially spy, if you please, on the Weather Underground. And I wrote about my experience of first attending a meeting of the Weather Underground, and where the leader of the group meeting had announced to the folks there that they had just smuggled into the United States a film from North Vietnam. And so eventually somebody stood up and asked for the lights to be turned out, and they showed this movie. And it was of the North Vietnamese shooting down our planes over Hanoi. And you could see the smoke following the planes as they crashed. And then the scenes shifted to a parade, if you please, in Hanoi, where they were parading these captured pilots. Well, there were comments from the crowd, kill them, shoot them down. And I said, my, and I was not prepared for this, that there would be people that I was rubbing shoulders with that were thirsty for the blood of Americans. And they were not only just against the war, they were for the communists.
Not just in the sense of the people fighting for their own homeland. They were actually for that form of government.
Yes. Yeah. So that's...
It's scary because that's what people say we're fighting right now. That or a form of fascism, whatever, but there's kind of the same side.
So that's where my political opinions starting to be formed at that point. Because up to that point, I was sort of lackadaisical about things. But, you know, people ask me, well, was Bill Ayers at that meeting? I have no recollection of the people anymore, or what I put in my report.